We are doing a bit of a story time today, and I didn't have time to do my makeup beforehand, so we're going to get ready together. I am almost in my 3rd trimester, which I cannot believe that is the case. So I figured since it is almost time to do a 2nd trimester update, since it's almost all done, I would go ahead and recap 1st trimester and also add in real quick how we even found out that we were pregnant, since we were not trying. So how we found out that we were pregnant, honestly, not that interesting. Well, I think it's always interesting to find out that you're pregnant, but both times that I have found out that I'm pregnant, I haven't told my husband in a very creative way because I just kind of freak out and tell him. So basically, how we found out that we were pregnant this time around, my period was late, so I took a pregnancy test and it was negative. And that can happen when you're breastfeeding. You can have periods that are super off. So I was like, okay, I'm breastfeeding, so I must just not be regulated yet. And so I honestly wasn't too worried about it. But then a week later, I still didn't have my period. I took another pregnancy test. It was also negative. And then one night I made dinner. We were kind of running late for dinner. I got Oliver and Lucy all like set up at the table, and I was like, okay, I have to pee really quick. And on the dresser on the way to the bathroom were some extra pregnancy tests that I had ordered. And I was like, I'll just take one really quick. It's gonna be negative, but I have to pee anyways, so I'll just take the test. So I took the test, and it was like right before dinner, and immediately, like, I watched it go across, and it was immediately very clearly pregnant. I was like, well, there's no way for me to like I personally could not sit and eat dinner next to my husband and not just like tell him that we were pregnant. Like, I can't keep secrets like that. So I took the test, put it in my back pocket, went out to the table and was like, okay, let's pray really quick. So we held hands and prayed, and at the end of the prayer I was just like, and thank you for the baby in my belly. And we just like, I just like said amen, and we moved on. And Oliver was like, are you serious? Like, you're really pregnant? And I was like, yeah. That is how we found out. And since my period was so late, I thought that I was already 6 weeks pregnant. What we found out later was that I had ovulated 2 weeks late. So instead of getting my period the day that I thought I was going to get it, I ovulated that day. So you can put 2 and 2 together and figure out how that happened. My first pregnancy, I didn't tell him in a cutesy way that way either, because I, again, took a pregnancy test way too early and didn't expect it to say anything. And I was in one bathroom peeing on the stick and did not tell him that I was going to be doing that. It was a digital one, so when it popped up and said pregnant, I screamed, and Oliver thought that I hurt myself, and he came running to my rescue, and it was just that I was pregnant. Needless to say, finding out that we were pregnant was not the most exciting situation, but we were very excited. It just was kind of casual. I found out, I told him. I'm just gonna do some mascara, and then I will be all done with my makeup. And then we will talk about my 1st trimester. My wonderful, beautiful 1st trimester. My makeup is all done. I keep it extremely simple. So, okay, 1st trimester was difficult. I was not completely surprised by that though. My 1st trimester and my 1st pregnancy was also extremely difficult. I was hopeful that this time wouldn't be as bad as my first time around, but in both pregnancies in first trimester, I had like beyond extreme nausea. I had HG. I had to look it up. HG is Hyperemesis gravidarum. I had that in both pregnancies, and it is extremely difficult to handle having HG. You can try all the natural hacks in the world. You can take all the ginger and lemon and all the things that they say on Pinterest and Google that you can do to alleviate some of the nausea and vomiting. But sometimes at the end of the day, those things just don't work. And I feel like this pregnancy, I was a little bit more on top of it because I had been through it before. I had a few tips and tricks up my sleeves that I used to help take care of myself. But it was also a completely different ballgame because I had a toddler this time. Actually, when I got pregnant, I had a 10-month-old. So I had a 10, 11, and 12-month-old through my first trimester. She was learning to walk and just becoming more and more active. And it was difficult in ways this time that it wasn't difficult in last time, but also the trade-off was that I had learned a lot of different hacks from my first pregnancy that I was able to utilize in this pregnancy, and I was very thankful for that, just kind of knowing how my body responds to different treatments and to different herbs and natural remedies, and which ginger mints or ginger chews help or don't help, and knowing which essential oils to run to. The research part, I didn't have to do so much of this time, so that was kind of nice. So just surviving the HG in the first trimester was very difficult because I would go days without being able to keep food or water down, and so then I would get kind of in a dangerous situation, honestly, of dehydration and malnutrition. And my midwives have an OB that they work very closely with, and so I was in communication with him and with the midwives, and we were all working together as a team. This first trimester about knocked me out, and I was very thankful that the nausea started to get better around week 14 to 16, I think, were the 2 weeks where I was like, hey, I think I might be turning a corner. Whereas my first pregnancy, I really didn't turn a corner until closer to week 30. So that was very encouraging. I feel like we were able to learn a little bit more earlier on about my body and what I respond best to. So that was extremely helpful, especially having a toddler and like a house to run. I will say, if a mom says, oh my gosh, my nausea is uncontrollable, I'm vomiting all the time, I haven't kept food or water down for several days, a response to that would not be, oh, I was nauseous in my pregnancy too, but I don't like throwing up, so I just didn't. When you have HG, throwing up is going to happen. Like, you don't have a choice. It is extremely taxing on your body. And that was the most frustrating thing for me going through the first trimester, is like other moms telling me that they had nausea as well, but they didn't throw up because they don't like throwing up. I don't like throwing up either. I mean, who does? It was just one of those things that happens when you have HG, and that's not a shameful thing. I don't think there's any shame in taking medication to help you get through extreme nausea. So if you are a mama who has experienced HG, I'm sorry. It stinks. It really is very difficult to balance life in general having HG. So if you're in the throes of extreme nausea, I hope it gets better for you soon. So for me, my first trimester could not pass fast enough. Around week 12, I felt like I was able to function just a little bit more. I wasn't feeling as sick. I was still vomiting, but it was a lot more manageable. But around that time, I also started having bleeding, which was really concerning. We ended up having an ultrasound to make sure that everything was okay because I was bleeding and cramping, and we just wanted to make sure that everything was all right, and baby ended up looking just fine, which was a huge blessing. We were very, very thankful because it doesn't always turn out that way. So we're very thankful that baby stuck around. I have had more bleeding off and on through second trimester. Sometimes I guess it just happens in pregnancy, but I'll cover more of that in my second trimester. My second trimester video will be a little bit more interesting. This one, literally, to sum it up, I threw up all day, every day, and then finished off the first trimester with bleeding. So that was the first trimester and how we found out that we were pregnant. So after I found out that I was pregnant, I looked up a lot of these videos and binge watched first trimester recap videos. So generally, if you're watching this, you're also pregnant. So congratulations, and I'm excited for you. And if you are in the throes of morning sickness, I am so sorry. My heart goes out to you. Okay, well, I think that wraps up everything there is to say about my first trimester. So I appreciate you hanging out with me today. If this was at all interesting to you, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.